Unlike fanny packs, bowl cuts, and troll dolls, the sensation is back, only at Zaxby's. The Sensation Salad and the new Sensation Filet Sandwich features hand-breaded chicken, Asian slaw, wonton strips, and citrus vinaigrette, and both are served with an egg roll. The Sensation Salad and the new Sensation Filet Sandwich meal, for a limited time, only at Zaxby's. And skip the line when you order ahead on the Zaxby's app or on Zaxby's.com.
From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up War Chant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up War Chant presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan Hajavandi alongside Corey S. Clark. We are in the Midtown offices, Tallahassee, Florida, part of the WarChant.com family. Check them out, WarChant.com. Use the promo code WarChant30. If you're not already a member, that gets you 30 free days of access to the ultimate Seminole sports source. Over-unders, let's just get right to that, Corey. How about that? Because it's sponsored by good friends at Zaxby's, indescribably good. We're going to actually be mixing up the over-under competition here moving forward. We got a whole bunch of T-shirts now. So I think what we're going to do is give a T-shirt out to whoever finishes first.
Okay.
Or if you ace it, which is probably synonymous.
What if I ace it? Do I get a T-shirt?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Did I ace it this week?
No, but you did really well.
Let's go.
You went 4 of 6.
Oh, that's still not great, man. How
Well,
about a
you
5 and 1? How about a 6 and 0? It's not impossible.
4 and 2. Why are you so like? I feel bad now for Brady. Like I do think you're being around you now. All these games, watching you react to the way games play out. You're beating yourself up for going 4 out of 6 and over.
Much like my man Cyrus Fagan picks up a fumble, and the first thing I say is, of course he just trips himself and doesn't return it 80 yards for a touchdown.
Everything. Like
I think it's because I grew up in the heyday of Florida State football. A safety from 1991 picks that thing up and runs with it for a touchdown. And I haven't really adjusted yet to what we're seeing on the field in 2019.
you have not at all.
People think Aslan is the cynical one. But in a game, I'm a pragmatist. I'm a realist. But at the same time, you're like, golly, you're right there, man. Catch the ball on all the passes defended, the pass breakups. And then on that play, you're like, good grief, Cyrus, if you just pick that thing up, that's an 80-yard touchdown. I mean, if you just keep running.
Yeah.
But, he did recover it. Dontavius didn't get over there in time to knock it out of his hands.
Yeah.
So that worked out.
Just like the whole press
But, I mean,
box. Like if NC State or Louisville runs for 14 yards on, I was like, oh my god! Like everyone just, it's like guys.
Well,
like,
that's just
people
Ira.
are going to
That's
get
just Ira saying, "Oh boy."
People are going to get first downs on Florida
Oh,
State.
boy.
We're going to get first downs on Clemson. Anyhow, so here's the thing, and I was joking about this. I'm like, I can't wait till somebody goes over. Like one of our contestants, one of our subscribers, one of the people on Twitter that follow us. Because I would just kind of like let them know that mark of shame and be like, you did not win.
Right.
You actually went.
I think if you go over, you should get a T-shirt too.
Well, I'd get a T-shirt. I went over.
Did you really?
I went over. I didn't get one
Wow.
single one correct.
See, but some of that I think you probably felt differently.
No, not
but
really.
you're like, oh, we got to be different, so to keep the contest
No,
going.
I'm not doing that. No, I play to win, man.
So are we tied now?
We are.
Let's go.
1 week you made it
Folks,
up, man.
I know all you out there were saying it couldn't be done. There's no way Corey could catch him in 1 week, but I sure did.
Congratulations to Jenny, who I think, or Jemmy, I don't know. He's talked crap to me. I love this. Like these people who are absolutely like rude to me on War Chant, I have to give them free stuff. So he wins. Dane Owen wins again. So I think we're going to cap people at 3 wins. So Dane, that's your second win. So chill out. True Noel, Big Steve-O, and Noel Holla. They all went 4 of 6. Nobody got better than 4 of 6.
Okay, so I tied for the lead with everyone. That's good.
It was quite a tough one. Again, if you guys don't remember, it was Cam Akers rushes 27. That was under Marvin Wilson's Pro Football Focus grade 86. He hit the under on that. He graded out at 69.3. That was 7th on the team, 4th out of the starters. Continuing the numbers from our Zaxby's giveaway, Amari Gaynor tackle 6.5. He had 9, I think.
Yeah, he had a good night.
Longest play from scrimmage for Florida State, 48.5 yards. Actually, the under hit on that.
Yeah.
Official attendance, 55,500, well over. Even despite that paltry 60,100, whatever number it was well over that. And then the total points, or actually Florida State's points, 39.5. I see, 39.5 was the line I set. and they went under on that as well. So congratulations to all those who participated. Keep doing it. We'll do it every week, but we're not going to do it this week because they're off this week. But they did come off another win. They are above the Mendoza line, 3-2, 2-1 in ACC play. All of our goals still ahead of us. Very weird place to be right now, Corey, because the way you've broken the worldview of sports into this whole micro-macro approach is really revolutionary. And I just think there's so many other industries that if they kind of take that, little picture, big picture sort of view, that the micro-macro thing that you've kind of coined here, it'll just really just change kind of the way we manage things. But I don't want to look too far down the road, but I kind of do and I kind of don't. I think at this point, as we sit here with Florida State 3-2, a week off, and then you're going to go play the number 2 team in the nation, Clemson. They fell from 1 because of their sluggish performance against the great Sam Howell and the North Carolina Tar Heels. And then you got at Wake, so pivotal games coming up here, obviously. The one thing I can say, and this isn't a backhanded comment, which I guess people are like, well, if you have to say that, it's not a backhanded comment. It probably is. It's not. I think the fears of abject failure of Willie Taggart era, that's no longer on the table, I feel like. They're out of the woods of that. Now, I don't know if they're in the woods of this ultimately becoming something that this program is going to be, a renaissance of sorts or anything like that. But I think any sort of fear of missing 2 straight years of bowl games, having to maybe eat a $20 million buyout, all that kind of stuff, the indignity of getting fired, that's no longer on the table. They're moving in the right direction. I don't even want to talk about the level of competition, really. It's just the fact that you have to, you've mentioned on the show, you have to look at Florida State right now. You really can't worry about your opponent. And again, this is 3 weeks in a row of consistent, tangible growth. And, you have to feel good. Even with Clemson looming, I would feel good as a fan.
I feel like you really kick yourself about the opener now. You should be 4-1. You've been up 18 points in 4 of your 5 games, at least 18 points in 4 of your 5 games. You blew one of the leads, but you blew it in awful fashion. And then, the Louisiana Monroe game, you blew that lead too, but you still won it. And you did the same with Louisville. This time they didn't blow the lead. They gave up a touchdown, aided by some ridiculous personal foul calls and personal fouls. And then you went right back down the field and scored and ended the game. But when you look at the team as a whole, yeah, man, you can't – it's not even just the results. And I know that sounds like Jimbo, process results, but just look at how they look. Mm-hmm. Just use your eyes. You can see a difference. Whether they finish 6-6 this year, 7-5, 9-3, that's probably not likely, but who knows? Right. Look at your eyes and see what they look like through these first 5 weeks. There have been stretches in every game where they have been clearly the better team, and they have played well for long stretches. Virginia, the fourth quarter, killed them. Boise, the whole second half, killed them. The Cam Akers fumble was a backbreaker in that game, but the defense was atrocious. Yeah. But since then, since the Louisiana Monroe game, you could say they're like the 28th best team in the country, 31st, somewhere in there.
If you almost say you took out Clemson and I can't even remember who the other team was I was going to say in my head here, but there's take out Clemson and Virginia, and you're left with 12 teams in the ACC, not counting Notre Dame. You can break them up in thirds right there, right? Like you have your top 4 from there, your middle 4, then your bottom 4. Your bottom 4 is probably Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, maybe these 2 teams that Florida State just beat.
Yeah.
I think Florida State's probably in that middle 4, like at the top end of the middle 4, maybe the bottom end of the top 4.
Well, and I think they're with Virginia. I think it's Clemson and then a bunch of probably 5 or 6 teams that can beat each other. Maybe 7 or 8 teams that can beat each other. And then Georgia Tech and who'd you say?
Like Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech.
Yeah, Virginia Tech's bad. Georgia Tech's awful. It's awful team. Louisville's not good. NC State, I don't know if NC State's very good. They don't seem great. So you have those bottom 4, but I think Florida State's right with anybody else. Because, again, I know you could say that, they barely beat Louisville. But they controlled that game, and they just went into their stupid rut that they always do. And we thought maybe they exercised those demons against Louisville in the fourth quarter by scoring 14 straight to end the game. And then they come out against North Carolina State and and score the only points in the fourth quarter. So maybe they've figured something out there. But when you look at the team, player by player, the way they play the majority of the game, it's worlds better than it was last year.
I think you said it best on the wrap-up you did with Ira. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this offense, I mean, Hornibrook took 8 sacks. They shot themselves in the foot with some penalties, false starts, things like that, some holding penalties.
Terry had a bad drop.
Yeah.
It could have been another huge play.
Didn't really look all that. I mean, this is weird because I'm trying to set this up for a good point, and I don't want to start off on a bad point. But your whole point was, listen, use your eyes, look at this offense. They ultimately didn't really look all that great against NC State. They still scored 31 points. Mm-hmm. That's incredible when you think about last year where it was a grind to get 20. I mean, it was an absolute grind for the team to get 20 points. Now it's like we ate 8 sacks, dropped the ball, just squandered away some good field position opportunities with those sacks, missed another field goal, but we still scored 31 and cruised, won a game by 3 scores. Mm-hmm. So that's the sort of real, tangible, legitimate growth that I think you can point to and that you can hold on to. And Willie did. I mean, Willie had some strong language, man. I wish I should have had the quote already pulled up here. I probably should just actually play the audio, which actually I'll probably do that.
Okay, buddy. Okay.
They know how to win ball games. It's just a matter of going out and doing it each and every week now and taking it one game at a time, understanding that if we don't play our A game, if we don't play our best, anybody out there can beat us. But we also know if we can play our best, then we can beat anyone that's out there. We said if we don't turn the ball over, we're going to be in any game we play, and we got a chance to win them. So we got to keep playing that way.
So, yeah, I mean, there you have the head coach who, 3 weeks removed from probably one of the ugliest wins in program history is now talking about, like, the sky's the limit for this team right now. Like, don't turn the ball over, play our best, we can accomplish whatever we want. Crazy.
Yeah, and again, you know who you're listening to right now. We're not the guy. We're not pie in the sky. We don't think this team is going to a New Year's Six bowl game. They're not winning an ACC championship, and they're not beating Clemson. I think maybe the worst thing that happened to Florida State, as far as that game's concerned, is Clemson looking how they looked in Chapel Hill. They're tired of hearing about how not good they're playing. And they're probably going to come out with something to prove after a bye week against a rival. So I don't foresee that game going well. I'd like to see him compete. But after that game, you have 6 games. You're 3-3. You have 6 games left. You're 3-3. You should be 4-2. Let's say it. You blew the Boise game. I think if you play Boise right now, you win that game. Don't you think you win that game by a couple scores? Because your defense is so much.
They're rolling right now, Boise State. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
But your defense is so much better. So much better.
To your point, if Cam fumbles in the manner that he does against Boise State 2 days ago, this defense probably doesn't just fold like a chair.
Yeah. They don't. They've looked so much better in that regard.
Which we have to listen. This is our charge, Corey. And I know this. You're going to get mad at me for saying this, and Ira's going to be mad at me for talking about this. Actually, Ira probably won't care. We need to figure out a way to ask Willie. Not later today when we speak to them on the bye week. We're only going to get the team on Monday this morning, and then we don't get them the rest of the week. They're off. It's fine. Whatever. They're going to still practice, but we don't get to talk to them. Whatever. We'll deal with it. We need to figure out a way for him to verbalize, to personify what Jim Leavitt's meant. I feel bad sort of denigrating or taking away shine from Harlan Barnett. It's still, his defense or what have you. It can't be coincidence. You don't look this bad against that level of competition like Louisiana Monroe and then just start rolling. Will even said in his comments, I think, after the game that, he thought that they went away from the 3-4. That's why they looked so bad in the Louisiana Monroe game. And now that they've gone back to it, they're doing so much better. And it's like, well, they didn't look really good doing the 3-4 without the guy who's like the architect of it.
That was the first game, though. And then they panicked. I do think they panicked. I think if Jim Leavitt had been on staff from the get-go in some capacity, he doesn't let them panic after the first game. They probably obviously teach it better in August.
Right.
But they panicked after the first game, rightfully so, because they gave up 600 yards. They looked like the worst defense in school history and one of the worst in the entire country. And then they did what they did against Louisiana Monroe, and you're like, okay, well, this thing's off the rails. Right. I think what maybe Jim Leavitt did was like, look, what did y'all teach all season? What did y'all teach all off season? Don't panic and go to something completely different. Stick with your principles and what you think these guys can do. And yeah,
or actually, here are the principles that you need to be teaching.
Yeah, this is how you need to teach it. And yeah, fill your gap, do your job, and they've done such a good job of that, man. It's we've talked so much, at least I have, about how unlikable this team had been through the first couple of weeks of the season. The Virginia game had turned around a little bit because they didn't get pushed around, man. They pushed the other team around. The zone was just a joke. But since then, man, they've been a really kind of a pleasure to watch. Like, they go up and hit. They tackle. They gang tackle. They don't get run on. And if they do get run on, it's usually when the second teamers are in there, or a linebacker just takes the wrong gap or just runs around a block. But they look so much –
or just runs into a block.
Yeah, as opposed to the ball carrier. But they just look so much better coached. And as a fan, as you guys watching this, you have to feel better about what you're seeing. You know the offense is being coached much better than it was last year. Well, now the defense looks like it is too. It's not enough to make this a special season, but it can be a pivotal season in the long term of Willie Taggart's tenure. But yeah, Leavitt, I don't even know how you quantify what he's done, but it's been pretty remarkable since he got here that they've given up what are they giving up? 31, 24, 13. They keep going down. That's probably going to go back up. I don't think they're holding Clemson to under 13 points. But even the Virginia, what did Virginia have, 10 going into the fourth quarter? Yeah. I mean, that's compared to what we saw at the end of last season and the beginning of this season, I didn't think this was possible. Good for these kids too, man. They play hard, finally.
Hey, let's take a break.
At Birch Orthodontics, they know what a difference a beautiful and healthy smile can make in your life.
They take the time to get to know you and perform a thorough exam so that they can make an individualized treatment plan just for you or your child.
They use the latest technology in a warm and comfortable environment. So whether you are interested in traditional metal or clear braces or clear aligners, they can give you the smile you deserve. They know investing in your smile means investing in your future. And at Birch Orthodontics, they are honored to be a part of your smile journey.
Serving Tallahassee for 16 years and supporting the Noles since forever. Check them out at birchorthodontics.com. BURCH orthodontics.com. Welcome back. It's Wake Up War Chant presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan. He is Corey. Follow us on Twitter, Aslan Hodges. That's me. Kind of not me, but it is me. We all get it right.
It's you, buddy. It's you.
Corey with an E_Clark.
Don't follow him during a Texas A&M game, though. Unfollow,
or
then follow.
Just have coping mechanisms or a sense of humor, or just don't take life so seriously.
Because you're screwing with people.
You
have
bit.
to be.
I don't want to see him fail. I don't harbor ill will towards him.
No, it seems like you're rooting for him, though.
Yeah, I want to see him do good.
I know, but even though you know everybody that follows you,
I don't know.
I feel like what you got is a little short stick, and you're poking people. And I don't remember a lot of tweets after the Auburn game.
Well, he didn't look good.
So I see how it is.
He doesn't look good. No,
well, he didn't look good in that game either.
They didn't. Yeah, it's not going to work out for old buddy.
Didn't that seem like a kind of typical, prototypical Jimbo game? Yeah. And you don't dismiss wins. We're not in that. But he should. They beat them less than San Jose State did.
Yeah. No, they don't look good at all. It's not. I don't know what's going to happen with him. I really don't.
It's a tough schedule. If he can get to 8 wins this year, that's a good season.
Well, I just mean long term. I just don't know. We talked about fresh start for him might be what he needed, but I don't know, man. Maybe the game has passed him by in some sort of weird way, or he's just too stubborn to adapt.
To adapt a little bit, yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's crazy. Also crazy, not really crazy. The quarterback situation. Thank goodness. No offense, James is my guy. Been down since day one. But thankfully, it didn't render our entire Friday podcast absolutely moot, hot or freezing cold takes exposed, right, because we operated that entire show under the premise that we thought Alex Hornibrook was going to start. Pre-game warm-ups, Bavion is snapping to James Blackman. James Blackman's handing off to the number 1 running back, Cam Akers. James Blackman is throwing his passes and warm-ups to Kendall Browse, the guy who calls the plays, who is the coordinator of the offense. And in pregame introductions on the Jumbotron, quarterback, James Blackman, South Bay, Florida. And he's out there at the coin toss. I think he's the offensive captain. Everything, it's like, oh, he's actually going to start. And then they roll out the team for opening possession, and it's Alex Hornibrook.
Yeah.
And
Blackman didn't have a helmet.
Yeah.
And there was no chance he was going into the game.
Right. Which maybe we'll ask Willie later today. I wonder if actually probably won't ask him because we're not going to get him for much in the coming days. Don't want to waste a question. But I do wonder if Alex would have gone down, if his helmet would have got knocked off on a play, like who would have gone in? Would Jordan Travis have gone out there? Or would it have been
baby.
James Blackman? Hopefully, James Blackman, because hopefully they learned their lesson from last year with the Miami game. Anywho, so Hornibrook goes in, does not look sharp from the jump, but ends up finishing the game 29 of 40 for 316 yards, his first 300-yard passing game in his storied career, and 3 touchdowns. 8 sacks, though. But I guess, I don't know how did he fumble once?
He fumbled one time, yeah, and they recovered it. Deep in his own territory, but that was the one fumble.
But 6 of his 8 sacks would have maybe made lesser man fumble.
Sure.
I mean, he was getting enveloped by Wolfpack.
And part of that was him, though.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
He's so calm in the pocket that I don't think he didn't look like he quite grasped the urgency.
Yes.
Of how bad his offensive line is. I know he's not used to playing behind something like this. But I wouldn't, the offensive line is not good at all, and they didn't pass block well in that game. But they weren't 8 sacks bad.
Right.
Hornibrook scrambled into a few of them. Guys weren't open downfield, I assume, or he didn't see them. But he held on to the ball. I'd say definitely half of those sacks were earned. But 8 was 3 or 4 too many. That said, I think it's just like, what's the argument about when it comes to these two guys?
It's going on, though. It's raging on
But they are what they are. They scored 31 with Blackman. They scored 31 with Hornibrook. It would have looked probably a little different. Hornibrook, I thought, answered. He made a couple really big throws after NC State cut it to 24-13. I think he hit DJ on a second long after another penalty on Bello. Made some really nice reads. The throw to Terry was really good on 3rd and 10. But, man, they're pretty even. You can argue all you want. It's not like a Heisman Trophy winner is sitting either way. But I do think you are in a position now. I'm going to probably write about that this week. You're in a position now where you can play the hot hand, right? Don't you think we're like you start Blackman because he was your starter and you don't lose a job because of injury. But if he's cold for 2 or 3 series, you go with Hornibrook. I think you're in that position now where you just play both of them.
Do you do that in a game like Clemson, though?
I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe if you throw a couple interceptions or a couple quick 3-and-outs and Kendall sees things that are wide open that you're missing, get another set of eyes in there. Neither one is good enough to just have the job in perpetuity for the rest of the season. And neither one is bad enough to deserve to be on the bench. They're very even. Yeah. And one might be hot and one might not be. I think Blackman doesn't take as many sacks in that game yesterday.
I agree.
But maybe he doesn't hit Pokey down the sideline on that pass. Or Terry in the middle of the field. I think he does, but I don't know. I think the results are probably the same. About 31 to 35 points is what you're getting out of this offense against a normal defense the rest of the season. Clemson's not a normal defense. But every other game, Florida isn't either. Miami isn't either, really. But most of the games you could probably pencil in 24 to 31 points no matter who the quarterback is. But I thought Hornibrook was good. He wasn't great. It's way too many sacks. But he made some nice throws.
Let's see here. There's a thread, literally. Start Hornibrook, love James. Better athlete, throws a better-looking ball, has supported the team, but Hornibrook puts the ball where it needs to be. I see more efficiency when he's running the offense.
They punted 8 times yesterday, right?
Hornibrook should have started versus Boise. It's so clear Hornibrook is the more polished quarterback and gives FSU the best chance to win.
I don't know how people are watching that and can see that. You can have an opinion.
1, 2, 3, 13 likes. 2-page thread that went into, and it's mostly I don't think there's a lot of disagreement with them.
You can have an opinion. I understand the opinion, but it is not clear. He just played NC State, who gave up how many points to West Virginia?
40-something.
Yeah, and you put up 31 points. One of those touchdown drives was completely enabled by 2 third-down personal fouls on NC State. It was okay. He did all right. He was fine. He was not incredible. They scored 5 times. They missed a field goal. They made a field goal, so they scored 5 times, and I think they punted 8 or 9 times. It's 5 out of 14, which is what Blackman's been doing.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's the same thing.
They're quite identical in terms of their production.
Numbers are essentially kind of the same.
That 29 of 40 is the most James Blackman line that you could think of. And that's like what Hornibrook went, like 29-4. Like that is quintessential James Blackman.
Yeah, I think Blackman's maybe he takes a few more shots maybe, so maybe the completion percentage isn't, but his completion percentage has been terrific all season too.
It really has, and he goes for about 3 touchdowns. I mean,
same thing. It was the exact same game we've been seeing. It's done differently. I think the drives feel a little different because he's hitting a lot of intermediate routes that turn into 14, 17, 18 yard. He gets the ball out a little quicker. When he gets the ball out quicker, it looks different than Blackman holding on to the ball and pump faking. Yeah. But the end result is still the same.
Right.
You're going to score a touchdown every 3 drives, essentially. 2 or 3 drives. That's what the average has been this season. That was the same against NC State. There's not it's marginal, the difference between the two.
I agree, yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I would imagine they probably would start James Blackman. I don't think Alex Hornibrook did anything to usurp the job. Like he did great. He did a good job. Did a good job. I mean, again, this shows you just how important it was to get this kind of depth this offseason. Nothing against Jordan Travis, but just to get a guy like that can come in and perform like that.
And like we've talked about, what it does is when Blackman goes through his inevitable spiral, which he's done in every game this season, where he just can't seem to get right, well, you got a guy on the sidelines that you trust now that has done it in a game. He's done it in a bunch of games at Wisconsin, but he's done it in a game in your offense to go out there and be a relief pitcher if things don't go well. That's good. That's a really nice comfort blanket to have. Not in the next game because I don't think it's going to matter much, but in every game after that, it really could matter. You might get up 14-3, and then you see Blackman starting to spiral, not seeing it well, panicking, pump faking. Well, put in the other guy and see if it looks any different. Right? Doesn't that give you that option?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's probably the way they're going to handle it moving forward. So my freezing cold take was exposed, though. I'm like, yeah, James ain't going to start another game. But I would imagine he probably does start against Clemson. The tricky thing here, and I'm not trying to poo-poo on the last 20 minutes of the feel-good portion of this program, is that, I mean, the way they played on Saturday night against NC State, I don't know if they play that way against, like, Florida, I don't think they win. I don't think they'll win against Clemson regardless. I mean, he threw a pass one time into like quadruple coverage.
Yeah, and he had another one where he was being sacked and he threw it. He actually completed it. It was a big play. It ended up leading to a touchdown, but it was you can't make that throw against good defenses. He was being spun down and he kind of just threw it up for grabs. And he made one. That was the worst throw he made of the night. That was the only one that was really close to being intercepted. Was the one you're talking about. He threw it to Terry. Literally into like 3 different people. Yeah. But after that, he was good, yeah.
It's just, everyone talked about the schedule going to the season, how this was an easier schedule, so that was going to almost kind of cinch up a bowl berth for this team. Like, it's not even so much the schedule, but the way it has been laid out. I was talking to Ira about it on the way to the car after the game on Saturday night, of just, I think if they had to have gone at Wake Forest, at Boston College these last 2 weeks, I don't know if they win those games, but the fact that they were home against Louisville, home against NC State, just set up so well for this team to grow and develop. And then Ira's point was like, well, I bet if they played Louisville between Monroe and Virginia, that might have given them enough confidence to then go in and beat Virginia. And I'm like, well, I get that point, but it just like everything changed in that Virginia game. So I don't know if Louisville would have changed. I think it was the fact that they felt their backs against the wall. They went to that Virginia game with that sort of chip on their shoulder, Leavitt fixing things, and they played that hard, and they saw how well they can look out there when they actually do play that hard. But now we're in that sort of delicate balance here of they got away with a lot of things against teams that they're better, they're more talented than, and I think at least offensively for sure, hands down, are a better coached team than the team they're going against. Defensively, they're getting to that point as well. So kind of want to like a modicum of calibration here to like maybe not get too carried away to what you've said, because nothing is perfect on this team right now. But they're much better than what they were, which is all you can really ask for.
And that's what I kind of tried to write in my column after the game was that it is. We talk about that Amari. Well, we haven't, but I wrote a lot about that Amari Gaynor play at the end of the game.
I haven't seen it. All these plays you guys keep pointing to about effort plays. Marvin asking to come back in the game against Louisville, and Amari, like I'm in the elevator going.
Yeah. So, have you seen the replay?
No.
Oh, good. Well, I'll tell it to you then. Sorry, folks. So a minute 10 left. They complete a pass for a first down on third down. Kid breaks the tackle of Cyrus Fagan. is streaking towards the end zone at the 5, is free to get in the end zone. Amari Gaynor, who was rushing the passer on the play, as soon as the ball is thrown, he hightails it towards where the ball was thrown. The kid gets, it takes him a second to break the tackle. So by the time he gets back up to full speed, Gaynor is on him and strips him at the 1-yard line. Emmett Rice, who's also trailing the play as fast as he can, recovers in the end zone for a touchback. Well, there's a minute left. You're up by 18. The play itself was meaningless in the sense that there was no way NC State was going to come back and win the game. But juxtapose that play with the play at the end of the overtime game against Louisa Monroe. Like literally, you and I could have scored against them. Then
nobody wanted any part.
They had no want, no fight. They were tired of being on the field. To compare that with what they looked like at the end of the NC State game is just, man, that should make you feel encouraged at least about what's going on with this team. I know it's small steps, it's baby steps. It's not a great NC State. It's not even a good NC State team that you beat. But by gosh, like you said, we're looking at Florida State, and it looks like a different team than it did 3 weeks ago. Certainly than it did 12 months ago or 10 months ago. That November was just that was an embarrassment.
Bad.
Just an embarrassment. They just did not compete. Well, I don't know. They're not going to go up and beat Clemson, and they might lose by 4 touchdowns. But I trust these guys to actually go out there and compete. Yeah. I just do. So maybe the DNA is changing a little bit. Maybe the culture is changing a little bit. Those are culture-type plays. It doesn't mean that everything's fixed. Obviously, the offensive line is still the offensive line. You still have these crazy ruts. Your defensive backs can't catch at all. They look like seals trying to slap their arms together trying to catch things. It's nuts. But, man, I feel like I feel like watching that team, you feel better about the direction, but you also feel good about cheering for them. Like, okay, they're earning this. They're at least out there trying and busting it, because it certainly didn't look like they were bought in week 2 of this season. And then something happened the week of the Virginia game. You might say it might have been addition to the coaching staff. It's crazy to me that one person who's not even the defensive coordinator, now he might be running all the meetings for all we know, but he is an $80,000 a year employee that is not a defensive coordinator, could make that much difference to change the whole personality of a defense. But something has flipped in the last 3 weeks. Yeah. And they're actually, like I said, a pleasure to watch. They actually play hard. They're not talented. They're not. I mean, they've got some talent.
They are. That defensive line, those guys are all going to play in the league.
The starters on the defensive line are talented. I don't know about the backups, and they played a lot. Like, I think Marvin only played 49 of those snaps on Saturday. They're trying to give those guys more rest. And the linebackers certainly aren't what you'd call
Marvin did have 49.
Yeah, they're not.
I mean, Derek McClendon had 11 reps, snaps.
How many
Briggs
Briggs
Jr. had 31.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. True Thompson had a few, right?
Yeah, man. TRU 19.
Yeah, so they're making a point to get those other guys. And Wood, how many did Wood have?
Old said Wood had 26.
Yeah, they're playing a lot. That. They're playing a lot. So they're trying to give these guys a break, Durden and Marvin especially. And the linebackers aren't great. So there's still some big holes on the defense. But by gosh, they play hard, man. They at least play hard. There's at least something to buy into there. And the DBs, they weren't sitting back, letting guys just catch the ball in front of them in the worst zone we've ever seen. They're cutting in front of guys dropping interceptions. That's something to be proud of, right?
To Willie's point, they don't want to lead the country in PBUs.
Well, they had 8. They had 8 in that game, and I would say at least 5 or 6 should have been intercepted. Yeah. Cyrus dropped 3 by himself. They were dead right to him. Yeah.
Bailey Hockman. Thoughts on Bailey Hockman? Nice tattoo.
You mean
nice
Benedict Hockman. What did he tweet? I saw it on Twitter, but I don't remember it. Apparently he tweeted some stuff after he left that wasn't real favorable to Florida State. But I don't remember what it was. But, man, when they got a chance to hit him, they didn't shy away. And I asked Cyrus Fagan, like, hey, did you have a relationship with him? He's like, after the game. And he's like, well, no, he was an opponent. All he was an opponent today. He didn't want to say anything good or bad about Bailey, which made me think they didn't really care for the guy bouncing like he did. And maybe he'll be good. He wasn't good on Saturday at all.
When they played last year in Raleigh, he was with them, and he was on the Florida State. Like, when they were warming up, he was on that side of the field talking to a bunch of guys and, like, dapping up. So I think it's a little maybe exaggerated.
But he might have said he might have tweeted something that wasn't great back then. I don't remember that.
I Googled it. I can't remember. I mean, what would you – I Googled Bailey Hockman tweet transfer. I can't – nothing
okay.
Inflammatory stuff.
But, no, he looked just okay. He got screwed on the one. He made a beautiful pass. His best pass was when it was 31-13 with like 5 minutes to go on 4th and 21. Because it's Florida State. Somehow there's a hole in 4th and 21. He makes a beautiful pass. It should have been a touchdown, and the kid just dropped the ball in between two safeties. But yeah, I don't know how. I get why people are still skeptical, and you should be. This is a 6-6, 7-5 football team still. But last year, remember, it was a 5-7 football team that, like I said, could have been 2-10 or 3-9. Yeah. This team is better. It's better.
Absolutely.
It's just a better team. They play harder. They're much better coached on special teams, on offense and on defense now. It's a better coaching staff. It's something that you can look forward to in 2020. Assuming they don't just fall off a cliff and the Clemson game turns into an 8-game losing streak or a 7-game losing streak. If that doesn't happen, the coaching staff will be back in 2020, and you feel like there's a chance you can make a really nice jump. Don't you think? And I mean a nice jump to 8-9 wins. You're playing Clemson at home.
We're calling a jump 8 or 9?
To 9 wins, yeah, sure. Because I think they're getting to 7 maybe this year. So you go to 5 to 7 to 9. What concerns me about next year, not that we should be talking about next year, is you are losing by easily your 3 best players.
Your best defensive lineman, your best running back, your best wide receiver.
Yeah, and those are big deals. Those 2 guys on offense, and then Marvin's one of the best players in the country. Yeah. It's hard to imagine you're going to be you're not going to replace those guys. But I think another year in the Briles offense, another year knowing what they're doing, Blackman having another year in the system, or Derek King coming in from Houston. I think the offense will be even better next year, even without Cam Akers, just because I think it'll be another year in the Briles system.
Yeah, for sure.
But where are you? I want to know about what you think.
I talked about it. I really don't want to look that far down the road.
No, not about 2020. About where this program is compared to where it was this time last year.
They're absolutely. This is the problem.
Are you seeing tangible stuff?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My thing is this. It's just this offense is Kendall Briles's. I don't know how much credit you can give this Willie Taggart the offense. Just don't know. I really don't know. And this is not me being difficult or trying to find ways to diminish Willie Taggart. But listen, I don't know. The way I look at things, if you're not calling the plays, I don't know how much credit you get for it. It's a group project. I get it. It's not just one person doing it. Everybody's involved in it. But, man, if it's your words and you're typing it, my name goes on the report. I know I'm getting the A as well, but, I don't know how much of that is really my responsibility. You give them credit for having the humility to step back and be like, I'm going to bring in somebody that might be better at doing this. I absolutely get credit for that. My anxiety becomes the point where I don't think Kendall Briles feels he's been put on this earth to help Willie Taggart succeed, so I don't know how long he stays here. Defensively, again, you saw what you had on defense last year. You decided to not really shake anything up other than the fronts that you're going with, and that worked out to not maybe being the best sort of idea. You can talk about Boise. They came apart in the second half. Man, the defense looked bad the whole game. I mean, the opening drive, Boise ran it right down the throat, and they had that really crazy sort of, not crazy turnover, but they turned it over. You got to give the defense credit for it. So that's my thing. And then the closer you get to making these jumps and everything, then you have to start looking at, how is Willie Taggart going to manage a game against Clemson in October when they're both 6-0 and game day's there, and it's a one-possession game in the fourth quarter, and they only have one timeout, and there's 3 minutes left. Then you start worrying about those kind of things. But right now, this team absolutely looks better. I'm in the business of giving credit to people for it, which then makes people upset because they feel you're not giving the right people credit for it. But absolutely, there's no way you can look at this team and say they are not markedly better at every phase of the game. There's nothing I want from that 18 team on this 19 team. There's nothing.
Right.
There's nothing I want from them. This team is better in every facet, top to bottom, and it's incredible that the onus to turn it all around again was maybe one of the uglier wins in program history against Louisiana Monroe. Because yes, Leavitt helped out the defense, but to give Willie credit, Willie's whole thing's about these guys playing for each other, loving each other, brotherhood. Which again, I don't know how much. That's part of a lot of team success. I mean, I know that's Dabo's sort of recipe. Hugh Freeze used that recipe at Ole Miss to turn them around quite quickly and beat Alabama 2 years in a row. So it's a real legitimate philosophy that you can have. Again, I don't know how much you can max out on that sort of stuff. But, Willie does get credit for, keeping these guys bought in, for keeping these guys sold out to his vision. Absolutely, Willie gets credit for that, which is more of an esoteric sort of thing to talk about playing hard for each other and everything. But that is a big deal, man. That is a really big deal because they had no business going to Virginia and playing good. That team, 18 would have rolled over.
Absolutely.
Most teams, I mean, if
it would have been like the NC State or the Notre Dame games.
I mean, Justin Fuentes, the head football coach of Florida State, and they go 1-1 and look at the way they did against Boise and Louisiana Monroe. Does Justin Fuente find a way to resonate with these kids and make them play their balls off against Virginia? Probably not.
Yeah,
I don't know how many coaches would. So
because looking at Fuente, they apparently they didn't even want to play in their bowl game last year, and then this year they completely fallen off the rails and got embarrassed at home by Duke. So it's not just you can't just snap your fingers and say, okay, they're going to play hard this week or they're going to buy in this week. It does say something that for whatever reason, I don't care the reason, they have started to they just play harder and they look better and they're better coached. All of that has happened in the last 3 weeks, and moving forward, it gives you hope. It's not a sure thing. Right. Nothing about this is cemented. There's nothing that I've seen that says absolutely Willie Taggart's going to be winning a championship in 2 or 3 years.
Which that's ultimately that's the standard. That's what we're measuring,
sure.
Right? But this team is going to be a good team with Willie Taggart as the head football coach.
I'm not even though I'm willing to say that yet. But it is an improved team.
Okay.
And that's good enough for right now. They were in the depths, people.
Yes.
They were in the depths. And I'm not just talking about when Willie took over. I'm talking about a year into his reign. They're going to overtime to beat Louisiana Monroe, who then gave up 71 points in their next game. That's an embarrassment. That was the most embarrassing 60 minutes and 7 plays that have ever been that a Florida State team has ever played at Doak Campbell Stadium. And so for them to respond with these 3 games, Virginia's not great, but Virginia played toe-to-toe with Notre Dame, and if they don't get sacked and fumbled, they might win that game up there. And then NC State and Louisville, we know they're not great. It hasn't mattered the last 3 years whether Florida State is playing a great team or a sorry team. They look sorry when they play. They have not looked sorry, in my opinion, these last 3 weeks.
Nope.
They had that run against Louisville after getting up 21-0. Other than that, they have played in just, I don't want to say inspired, but they've been much better. They've been much better. And that's what you take. You take into the bye week. I'm not going to sit here and think that they have much of a shot against Clemson. I would assume the spread would be 24-28.
No, it's like 17.5.
No, really?
Yeah.
They've already come up with the spread?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I would think it'd be 20 because I got to think gamblers are going to be like, yeah, Clemson's going to be really angry for losing their number 1 ranking. They're tired of hearing about how they're not any good this year. They don't deserve to be ranked that high. So they're going to look to make a point, I think, and they're going to look to make a statement against Florida State.
We don't know the kickoff time as of this recording either, do we?
I think that'll come out later today. Right. I think they'll announce it. I was thinking they might 6-day option it, but it wouldn't make sense because neither team is playing. So I think we'll know.
That's right. I keep forgetting there's a bye week.
I think we'll know that it'll be what it'll be about noon on Monday. But yeah, man, I'm floored.
Yeah,
I'm floored by it. I'll admit it now. I thought Willie was done. I thought that it was a mistake. I didn't write it. I don't even think I said it on this show.
No.
But after that Louisiana Monroe game, I'm like, how can anybody believe in this?
Yeah.
How can anybody believe in this? The way they played in that fourth quarter, the way they played in that overtime, how can anybody believe in what this guy is doing with this program?
And how do you flip that in the middle of a season?
Yeah, in the middle of the first month of the season. Right. But then that Virginia game filled me with hope. And then these last 2 games are like, you know what? Okay, I shouldn't have given up on Willie Taggart. Are these players that they do care and they are trying hard? I don't
think you gave up or quit on him. I don't think you ever wanted to offer an opinion on it. But at that point, if someone had been like, "Is he going to be the dude?" you would have been like, "I don't think so." But
absolutely.
I think before that, after Boise game, you'd been like, "Dude, don't." That's a ridiculous question to even ask. If somebody would ask you that after the Florida game, you'd been like, "Dude, it's his first season. Get out of my face with that." But I think you get to a point where you see that, and if someone asks you at that point, you would probably humor them with an answer.
Yeah. And I didn't buy it. I didn't think so. Right now, I think I'm like everyone. I'm not bought in completely. My toes in the water. I'm still skeptical. I want to see how the next 7 games play out. But holy moly, it's been impressive what they've done in 3 weeks. Yeah. And if they can improve this much in 3 weeks, well, what are they going to look like at this time next year? Yeah. That's what you have to ask yourself. Again, the other shoe might drop over the next 7 games. I don't see that happening.
I don't either.
I just think it's just a bummer that the next game is Clemson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's all this goodwill you built up with these 3 games. Could have won all 3. Probably should have won all 3. Should be really – you could be 5-0 right now. But
game day.
You would be. You'd be 11th in the country. All the goodwill you built up, I don't think no matter what happens against Clemson, I hope it doesn't go away. That Wake Forest game, that Wake Forest game's, again, it's a big one.
It is. No, absolutely. I think regardless of what happens in the Clemson game, I think even, win, lose, or draw, even however it ends up playing, I don't think – I think it'll be a net win for that team because either they're still playing for each other or either realize – how much more room they have to grow, and they're hungry for it. They're not going to quit on it. They're not going to be like, damn, like we're 4 touchdowns worse than Clemson. We suck. It's going to be we're 4 touchdowns worse.
56 points worse than last year.
I think they'll play hard against Clemson. I think it'll be competitive.
But what I trust, no matter what, honestly, is no matter what happens in Death Valley, they might lose by 5 or 6 touchdowns. I think they can bounce back from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Last year, it was just a wrap on the season. Yeah. Just a wrap, man. As soon as Asante Samuel ran into that kicker, that was the season. The season just collapsed. This team isn't built like that, man. And, hey, look what happens when you coach up special teams. And you get a kick return to the 40. It didn't matter. You ended up missing a field goal on that drive. I mean, we'll see what happens with the field goal kicker. But the special teams, man, Tommy Martin pinned the ball down at the 1. Asante Samuel made a great play over his shoulder. And that was good to see from Tommy Martin because he had a terrible punt. He had like a 15-yarder.
One bad punt.
That led to a touchdown. Right. But then he was very good the rest of the game. Man, good for you. Good for you. I
think they had like a legal shift or something or legal formation on one of the punts, and he had to go really good. Had to kick it again, and still
kicked it even better.
Yeah.
They started in worse position. Man, that's good to see. They're just they're well coached there. They know what they're doing on every side of the ball, and I know that's a small standard. That's not, but golly, what did we watch last year? We watched just a disaster last year, really in almost every phase. In this year, at least they're competent in all 3 phases. In next year, you go from competent to what? Lethal? Is that what we're looking for? From competent to lethal?
Okay.
But yeah, it's a big stride. That's what I thought that was going to be a big game on Saturday night to kind of tell us where we were. It certainly keeps them in the running for a bowl because if they lose that game, no chance. Yeah. Now they're 3-2 with their 2 of their 3 toughest games remaining on the road in their next 2 games. Even if they lose both of those, you're 3-4, but I think you feel okay that you can make a bowl.
Oh, yeah.
You're not great, man. That's not great. It's not a great place to just be hoping to get to El Paso. But just like I said before the season started, it's a way these things look. I don't think that Virginia game you feel awful about that loss. And in hindsight, Boise's going to win 10 games. You blew that game. But you weren't overmatched and you weren't embarrassed.
What you felt bad about was your defense looked horrible. They no longer look horrible.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Really, right? Don't you think if you played Boise in the first of any other month besides September, you probably win that game kind of comfortably? I think.
I don't know if you went comfortably. I mean, they're growing and getting better too. I'm sure. I haven't watched their games, but that was a true. They could do
anything they wanted in that game. You can't do anything you want to this Florida State defense now.
That's true. No, you're right.
And even their NC State's touchdown was aided by a couple of personal fouls. They did complete a big pass down the sideline that Stanford Samuel at least looked back for, didn't make a good play on. There aren't just wide open dudes sitting 7 yards, just running 7 yards and turning around anymore. They're making strides, baby. They are making strides, folks. Isn't that all we want, Aslan?
It is all we want. Also, and before we go, we'd be remiss if we didn't congratulate Walt Bell, first victory as a head football coach.
Who'd they beat?
Akron. Took down the Zips.
Ooh, but not the Bowden coach.
Not the Bowden coach. 37-29, they once again hit the over. They've hit the over in every single game they've played this season, if that interests you folks at home.
Have they?
Yeah. Their defense is terrible.
Man, what kind of degenerate is out there betting on UMass football?
He's Corey. I'm Aslan.
I mean, isn't that crazy?
Just trying to help people out there. We'll talk to y'all later. Have a great one.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.